You know the difference between someone who says they have nothing and someone who builds everything from nothing? It is not money. It is not luck. It is not talent. It is not the family they were born into or the country they grew up in. It is one single thing: the ability to see value where others see only emptiness. Stop for a moment. Before we go further, stop. Feel where you are right now. Feel the air around you. Feel the ground beneath you. You are here. You are alive. You are listening. And that means you already have more than you think. I want to tell you something that the ancient teachers understood thousands of years before the modern world invented its complicated systems of wealth and success. They understood something so simple that most people walk past it every single day without ever seeing it. The ones who build something from nothing are not the ones who had the most to start with. They are the ones who knew how to see what they already had. Let me say that again because it matters. The problem is never that you have nothing. The problem is that you have not yet learned to see what you have. And there is a very specific reason why this happens. A reason the ancient teachings described with extraordinary clarity long before any modern psychology gave it a name. When a person lives under the weight of struggle for long enough, something happens to the way they see the world. They stop seeing possibility. Not because possibility disappeared, but because the mind, exhausted by hardship, trains itself to look only for what is missing, what is lacking, what is not there yet. And a mind that only sees what is missing will always find more reasons to stay still than to move forward. The ancient teachers called this the poverty of perception. Not the poverty of the pocket, the poverty of the eye. Let me tell you a story. Many centuries ago, a young man came to sit with a teacher in the mountains. He had traveled for 3 days on foot. He arrived exhausted, hungry, with nothing but the clothes on his back and a question burning in his chest. He sat down across from the teacher and said, "Master, I have nothing. No money, no land, no connections, no name that anyone recognizes. How am I supposed to build a life from nothing?" The teacher looked at him for a long time without speaking. Then he said, "Tell me what you used to get here." The young man said, "My feet." "And what guided you through the mountain pass in the dark?" "My memory of the path I had heard described." "And what did you do when the path disappeared under the snow?" "I thought. I looked for signs. I figured it out." The teacher nodded slowly. "So you have a body that moves, a mind that remembers, the ability to reason under pressure, the courage to travel 3 days alone for something you believe in, and you sit here and tell me you have nothing?" The young man was silent for a long time. And then the teacher said the thing that stayed with him for the rest of his life. "You do not have nothing. You have not yet learned to count what you have." My friend, this is where we begin today. Not with what you lack, with what you have not yet learned to count. Now listen carefully. This is the part most people miss. When we say, "I have nothing," what we are actually saying is something much more specific. We are saying, "I do not have the thing I think I need in order to begin." But that is a very different statement, because the thing you think you need in order to begin is almost never what you actually need. Let me show you what you already have. You have time. Even if it is only 1 hour each day, you have time. And 1 hour each day, applied with intention and consistency, has built more than most people will ever believe possible. You have a mind that can learn. Not a perfect mind, not a genius mind, simply a mind that can take in new information and apply it. That is enough. That has always been enough. You have the ability to solve a problem for someone. Not every problem, not the problems of the whole world, but somewhere, in the circle of people around you, there is a problem you could help solve. And that is where every form of abundance begins, in the gap between a problem that exists and a person who can help solve it. You have words, the ability to communicate, to explain, to teach, to comfort, to persuade, to connect one person with another. This is not a small thing. This is one of the most valuable things a human being possesses. And you have something that cannot be taken from you no matter what happens on the outside. You have what you know. The ancient teachers were clear about this. They built entire philosophies around it. They said, take everything from a person, their home, their money, their land, their country, and they will rebuild. But take away their knowledge, and you have taken something that cannot be replaced. This is why the first investment the wise have always made is not in possessions. It is in learning, because knowledge travels with you. It cannot be lost in a fire. It cannot be stolen in the night. It cannot be taken at a border. What you know is yours, completely, forever. Here is something that will frustrate you at first, but it will free you after. There is no such thing as sustainable, fast abundance. I know that is not what most people want to hear. The world is full of voices promising fast results, quick transformations, overnight change. But the ancient wisdom is unanimous on this point. What is built quickly on a weak foundation falls quickly. What is built slowly on a true foundation stands for generations. The ones who built lasting abundance across every tradition, every culture, every century, did not build it through one great stroke of luck or one brilliant idea that changed everything overnight. They built it through one small action, repeated every single day, applied with patience and consistency until the small became large and the invisible became visible. There is a teaching I return to often. A farmer does not plant a seed in the morning and expect fruit by the afternoon. He plants, he waters, he waits, not passively. He tends the soil. He removes what does not belong. He protects what is growing from what would damage it. And then, in the right season, at the right time, the fruit comes. Not because he forced it, because he created the conditions for it and then trusted the process. This is how abundance works. Not through force, through consistency, not through desperation, through direction. The mind that moves from lack, from urgency, from fear of not having enough, repels the very thing it is chasing. But the mind that moves from clarity, from a calm understanding of what it has, what it can offer, and what direction it is moving, that mind creates conditions that attract what it needs. Here is something that will frustrate you at first, but it will free you after. There is no such thing as sustainable, fast abundance. I know that is not what most people want to hear. The world is full of voices promising fast results, quick transformations, overnight change. But the ancient wisdom is unanimous on this point. What is built quickly on a weak foundation falls quickly. What is built slowly on a true foundation stands for generations. The ones who built lasting abundance across every tradition, every culture, every century, did not build it through one great stroke of luck or one brilliant idea that changed everything overnight. They built it through one small action, repeated every single day, applied with patience and consistency until the small became large and the invisible became visible. There is a teaching I return to often. A farmer does not plant a seed in the morning and expect fruit by the afternoon. He plants, he waters, he waits, not passively. He tends the soil. He removes what does not belong. He protects what is growing from what would damage it. And then, in the right season, at the right time, the fruit comes. Not because he forced it, because he created the conditions for it and then trusted the process. This is how abundance works. Not through force, through consistency, not through desperation, through direction. The mind that moves from lack, from urgency, from fear of not having enough, repels the very thing it is chasing. But the mind that moves from clarity, from a calm understanding of what it has, what it can offer, and what direction it is moving, that mind creates conditions that attract what it needs. Now, I want to give you something practical. Not philosophy alone, not wisdom that stays in the air. Something you can use today, tomorrow, every day that follows. The ancient teachers did not separate spiritual wisdom from practical action. They understood that wisdom without action is just beautiful words, and action without wisdom is just exhausting movement in the wrong direction. So here are 5 steps, not complicated steps, not steps that require money or connections or perfect conditions. Steps that begin exactly where you are, with exactly what you have. The first step is to count what you already have, not what you wish you had, not what you used to have, not what others have that you do not. What you have right now, your time, your knowledge, your ability to help someone with something, your capacity to learn something new, your reputation, even if it is small, even if it is only known to a handful of people. Write it down if you need to. Make it visible, because the mind tends to dismiss what it cannot see clearly. When you write it down, you are telling yourself, this is real, this exists, I am not starting from nothing. The second step is to find one problem you can help solve. Just one. Not the problems of the world, not the grand challenge that would change everything. One person, one problem, one thing you could do that would make their situation a little better. This is where every form of abundance begins, not in accumulation, in service, in the gap between what someone needs and your ability to provide it. When you serve genuinely, when you solve a real problem for a real person, something shifts, not just in your circumstances, in your perception of yourself. You stop being someone who has nothing and start being someone who has something to offer. That shift is more valuable than any amount of money. The third step is to build trust before you build anything else. The ancient teachers were unanimous on this. Trust is the currency that every other currency is built on. Before money, before reputation, before results. Trust. Give your time, share your knowledge, connect people who would benefit from knowing each other. Do this not as a strategy, do this as a practice. Because trust is not built through one large gesture. It is built through 1,000 small, consistent actions that say, I am reliable, I show up. When I say something, I mean it. When I commit, I follow through. People who know this about you will open doors for you that money could not buy. The fourth step is to take one small action every single day without stopping. Not a large action, not a perfect action. One small, consistent, daily action pointed in the right direction. Offer your service to one person today. Learn one new thing today. Make one connection today. Create one small thing today. Do this tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. The ancient wisdom is clear. It is not the size of the daily action that matters. It is the refusal to stop. The one who stops is the only one who truly fails. Everything else, the slow days, the wrong turns, the moments of doubt, everything else is simply part of the path. The fifth step is to give something before you receive. This is the most counterintuitive of all. When you feel you have nothing, the instinct is to hold tightly to everything, to protect what little you have, to keep it safe until you have more. But the ancient teachers understood something that modern economics is only beginning to confirm. What is held tightly stagnates. What circulates multiplies. Give your time, give your knowledge, give your attention, give your encouragement to someone who is struggling, not because you will receive something in return tomorrow, but because generosity is a signal to yourself and to the world around you. It says, I am not operating from scarcity. I trust that there is enough. I trust that what I give will return to me in the right form at the right time. And that trust, that internal posture of abundance even before the abundance has arrived, is what creates the conditions for abundance to come. Let me be honest with you about something. None of this is easy. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. It requires humility to start small when you wanted to start big. It requires patience to repeat when you wanted to see results yesterday. It requires generosity to give when everything inside you wants to hold on. It requires faith to keep moving when you cannot yet see where the path leads. But here is what I have witnessed across many years of sitting with people who had nothing and watching them build something. The ones who started with these 5 steps, not perfectly, not quickly, not without doubt and difficulty, but consistently, stubbornly, daily, those are the ones who look back after a year and cannot recognize the distance they have traveled. Not because the world gave them something, because they stopped waiting for the world to give them something and started offering what they already had. That is the oldest teaching there is. That is what the ancient wisdom has been saying since long before any of us were here to hear it. You do not need more to begin. You need to begin with what you have. And what you have, if you will only stop long enough to count it, is already more than enough to take the first step. You came to this teaching today carrying a weight. Maybe the weight of feeling behind, of feeling like others started with more, of feeling like the distance between where you are and where you want to be is too large to cross. I am not going to tell you that distance is small. It may not be. But I will tell you this. Every person who ever crossed a large distance started by taking one step. Not a perfect step, not a fearless step, not a step taken with certainty about where it would lead. Just a step in the right direction, with what they had in that moment. You have what you need to take that step today. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions improve. Not when you have more. Today, here, now, with what you already have. If this teaching reached something real in you today, if something inside you shifted even slightly, go to the comments right now and write these words. I start today with what I have. Not as a performance, not for anyone else, as a declaration to yourself, because the moment you write those words, something changes. You are no longer the person who is waiting. You are the person who has begun. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they already have more than they think. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer another person is not money or advice or a solution. It is the reminder that they are not as empty as they feel. I am Master Liang. Stay present, my friend. The path begins exactly where you are standing.